too wide to serve this table without blocking the view," Bianca Vale announced, striking the edge of the champagne tray against Claire Bennett's chest. The insult traveled farther than the music. Several guests turned from the engagement display, not because they cared what had happened to the waitress, but because Bianca had made cruelty part of the evening's entertainment. Claire's arms burned after 13 hours of carrying plates. Yet, she caught the tilting tray with both hands. 6 glasses rang against one another. Not one fell. Bianca wore a burgundy silk gown and Dante Moretti's engagement ring. She looked at Claire's full figure as if it were a stain on the ballroom. Perhaps the hotel should hire women who can move between chairs without becoming part of the furniture. A few guests offered nervous smiles. Banquet manager Russell Harlan stared at the carpet. He had cut 2 servers from the shift after Bianca complained that too many uniforms ruined the view, then assigned their tables to Claire without adding a break. Claire did not apologize. She did not pull at her waistcoat or shrink beneath the attention. As she steadied the tray, her thumb touched a rough spot beneath the nearest champagne flute. She rotated the glass. A thin crescent of white wax clung to its base. She had seen the same wax on the right cuff of a temporary waiter near the east doors minutes earlier. That man had raised an empty glass toward 2 other servers Claire did not recognize. All 3 had checked their watches. They wore the hotel's black jackets, but they carried trays on their fingertips instead of resting the weight against their palms. Real servers protected glassware with the heel of the hand. These men protected their right hands. Then Claire had heard one of them speak in Sicilian. They assumed the exhausted American waitress beside them understood nothing. Claire's grandmother had spoken the dialect every Sunday of Claire's childhood. The words returned with perfect clarity. The bride cleared the north hall. When the lights blink twice, close the east doors. The Moretti men will have nowhere to move. Claire lowered the tray to Dante's table. He sat at its center in a charcoal suit, surrounded by family allies and senior business partners. At 39, Dante had the stillness of a man accustomed to being obeyed before he raised his voice. Yet his security detail had watched hands, pockets, and exits while overlooking the men carrying champagne. Claire tore one sheet from her order pad and wrote, beneath the tablecloth, "She sold you out. They're in position." She folded the note once and slid it beneath Dante's fingers. Bianca reached for her jeweled purse. Dante read the note, seized Bianca's wrist, and stopped her hand an inch from the clasp. "Lock every door. Nobody touches the waitress. Marco Rinaldi." Dante's security chief reacted instantly. 2 guards crossed the main entrances. Another reached the service corridor before the 3 false waiters could abandon their trays. One imposter tried to turn toward the east doors, but Marco drove him against the wall. His stolen jacket opened, exposing a shoulder holster. Confusion rolled across the tables. Claire remained beside Dante with the marked glass in her hand. Bianca pulled against his grip. "You are humiliating me over a note from a woman desperate to feel important." Claire placed the flute upside down on a white napkin, making the wax visible. That was their signal. The man by the east doors marked his glass, and the other 2 checked their watches when they saw it. They said in Sicilian that you cleared the north hall for them. Bianca's face remained composed, but her eyes moved toward the purse. Dante had prevented her from opening. Marco secured it. Inside lay lipstick, a compact mirror, an engagement speech, and a hotel seating plan folded beneath a second phone. Bianca claimed every hostess carried a seating chart. Claire lifted the bread plate Bianca had used moments earlier and found another copy beneath it. 3 exits were crossed out in blue ink. A circle surrounded Dante's chair. Beside the ballroom loading entrance, someone had written, "Move his car," after the second signal. Dante recognized Bianca's handwriting, the long downward slash through every letter T. "You mapped my security. I corrected the seating," she answered. "Harlan can confirm it." The manager stepped forward too quickly. "Ms. Vale changed only guest placement." Claire studied him. A damp line darkened his collar, though the ballroom remained cool. He held his order pad against his chest, with the removed top sheet facing inward. "The replacement sedan arrived late this afternoon," Claire said. "2 drivers argued about it in the loading office while I served coffee. One of those false waiters asked, which car would take Mr. Moretti home? When I said I didn't know, he told the other man, the white one would burn just as well." Marco spoke into his radio. His team reached the garage within 2 minutes. The response stripped the last warmth from Dante's expression. The white sedan's fuel line had been cut and wired to the ignition. Bianca laughed once. "Convenient. The waitress hears everything, understands a foreign language, and now remembers a perfect threat. Ask what she wants." Her gaze traveled deliberately over Claire's body. "Women like her spend their lives watching other people celebrate. Of course she wants to ruin my engagement." Several guests looked away. Harlan said nothing. Dante released Bianca only after a female guard secured her hands behind her back. Then he faced Claire, expecting perhaps that she would demand justice or offer gratitude. Claire removed her apron. She folded it once and placed it beside Bianca's engagement ring. "I don't want your money," she said, "and I won't stay where my body is treated as public entertainment." She collected her inexpensive wool coat from the service station. Dante stepped into her path, but left enough room for her to pass. "You are not my prisoner," he said. "Someone inside this hotel knows you understood those men. Walking into the employee alley alone gives them the easiest target in the building. I have my own car." "Where?" "Employee level. Space 42. Marco checked the parking system. Claire watched his expression change. Her car had left the garage 19 minutes earlier. Claire did not ask Dante what to do. She pulled out her phone, opened the parking application, and examined the recorded exit. Her 12-year-old gray sedan had passed through the north gate using a management override. The car carried no tracking service and little resale value. Whoever took it wanted its registration, not its engine. "Harlan has override access," she said. The banquet manager backed toward the kitchen. Marco's guard stopped him before he reached the doors. "I validate parking for staff and guests. That does not mean I stole her vehicle." Claire crossed the ballroom and held out her hand. "Your order pad." Harlan pressed it tighter against his jacket. Dante removed it and gave it to Claire without opening the pages himself. She appreciated that small decision. The evidence belonged first to the person who understood it. Claire flipped past tonight's drink orders. Hotel pads made carbon copies, but Harlan had removed the first 3 pages. Waitresses learned to recover missing orders when a customer disputed a charge. A hurried pen left grooves on the sheet below it. Claire laid the pad flat, took a pencil from the host stand, and rubbed the side of the graphite across the paper. Indented words emerged. "Move gray sedan. Space 42. Use Northgate." The guests nearest the table could read the instruction. Harlan's shoulders dropped. "Ms. Vale told me the car belonged to an employee she planned to dismiss. She said it had to be gone before dinner ended." Bianca lifted her chin. "He is blaming me because he fears Dante." Claire examined the seating plan again. 3 exits were crossed out, but the north service gate remained untouched. Her stolen car had been sent through that exact route. A terrible simplicity joined the pieces. The attackers needed witnesses to remember me leaving angry, she said. That was why Bianca insulted me before the whole ballroom. If the attack succeeded, Mr. Moretti died. If it failed, my car carried someone or something away, and everyone described the fat waitress who had just been publicly humiliated. Bianca's mouth flattened at the word Claire had reclaimed without surrendering to it. Dante looked at the folded apron, the exposed order pad message, and the woman he had planned to marry in 11 days. You chose Claire because no one here knew her name. I chose no one. My name is Claire Bennett. Claire said, I have served your private dinners for 8 months. You ask for hot water with lemon every Tuesday. You learned my name tonight because you needed it attached to a crime. The words were not a defense. They were an invoice. Marco received a traffic camera image of Claire's sedan heading north. The driver wore a baseball cap, and the angle concealed his face. Dante asked what lay along the route. The Moretti shipping warehouse. Claire answered, I served its supervisors last month. They wore company badges and complained about the drive. The false waiters said tonight's attack would pull your soldiers away from the docks. Marco frowned. Why would the warehouse admit her car? It wouldn't look dangerous. Claire said, It belongs to a waitress with no criminal record. And Bianca prepared a ballroom full of witnesses to say I had a motive. Dante issued orders to freeze every shipment and close the river gates. When Marco suggested keeping Claire outside, operational decisions because she was a civilian, Dante answered in front of his senior men. She heard the plan. We didn't. He faced the gathered guests. The engagement alliance that had strengthened his public position now threatened to fracture beneath his next words. Claire Bennett was mocked under my roof while she protected people who would not look at her. Bianca caused that humiliation. Harlan enabled it. I allowed a system where their status mattered more than Claire's dignity. That failure belongs to me. It was a public apology, but Claire did not reward it with forgiveness. Dante had noticed her only after her competence became valuable to him. He asked, Will you help identify the warehouse target? Claire considered her alternatives. She had emergency savings, a sister who would give her a sofa, and enough money on one card to reach another city by morning. She possessed a freedom exit before Dante offered protection. Yet the night workers at the warehouse knew nothing about the plan moving toward them in her car. I'll help until those workers are safe, she said. After that, I leave on my terms. Agreed. Dante offered his black overcoat. Claire put on her own worn coat instead. She would accept cooperation, not ownership. Before leaving the service station, Claire checked the reservation book. Bianca had altered the table assignments 3 times. One change placed Claire beside the east doors. Another sent the senior bartender home early. A third removed a private reservation from the top floor. Claire angled the page beneath the chandelier. Pressure marks remained where the line had been erased. The missing reservation carried Dante Moretti's name. 2 guests. Bridal suite. Midnight. 1 bottle of Dante's private bourbon. Did you arrange a meeting upstairs? Claire asked. No. Bianca's attention shifted toward the elevators before she could stop herself. The nearest elevator descended from the 6th floor and opened into the lobby. No person stood inside. A silver room service cart occupied the center, draped in white linen. On its top shelf rested Dante's bourbon, 2 glasses, and a covered plate. A white wax crescent marked the handle. Marco stopped his team from approaching until the cart was checked. There was no explosive device. Beneath the linen, however, guards found a stolen waiter's jacket, a hotel master key, and Dante's monogrammed pocket square. Claire studied the cart from several feet away. The napkin seam faced outward. The bourbon label pointed toward the elevator wall. The glasses stood beside the bottle, where one sudden stop could shatter them. No trained banquet server had arranged it. This cart wasn't sent down to hurt anyone, she said. It was sent down because someone upstairs finished using it. Marco lifted Dante's pocket square. Using it for what? To leave beside a body? Dante looked at Bianca. She said nothing. But Claire saw recognition arrive before fear covered it. Claire touched the white wax on the handle with the corner of a clean napkin. The ballroom attackers used the mark as confirmation. The false reservation, the stolen key, and the pocket square led to the bridal suite. But whoever sent the cart down had changed the schedule 8 minutes early, after learning the first attackers were captured. If we take the guest elevator, Claire said, they'll be waiting at the doors. She pointed toward the narrow stairwell used by employees carrying trays during elevator failures. The service stairs open beside the 6th floor linen room. They expect armed men in the hallway. They won't expect the waitress they already decided was invisible. The service stairwell smelled of detergent, old paint, and heat rising from the kitchens. Claire led because she knew which landings opened into guest corridors and which doors released alarms. Dante followed one step behind her. Marco and 2 guards kept enough distance to avoid crowding her, but close enough to respond if the 6th floor men entered the stairs. Claire climbed without rushing. Her feet throbbed inside black work shoes that had stopped fitting comfortably hours ago. At the second landing, the skin above her heel split against the stiff edge. She adjusted her step and continued. Dante noticed. You're bleeding. I worked 2 double shifts this week. Why? Bianca said. Too many servers made her private dinners look cheap. Harlan sent 2 women home and divided their tables between the rest of us. I benefited from that, he said. Yes. Claire's answer contained no comfort. Dante did not ask for any. At the 5th floor landing, she stopped before the door. The service stairs amplified sounds from above a shoe-crossing tile. The roll of a cartwheel. Then a man speaking quietly in Sicilian. Claire raised one finger. Dante and Marco became still. The woman failed downstairs. The first voice said, It changes nothing. Another answered, Moretti still comes upstairs. Bellomo wants him photographed beside the body, before the hotel fills with police. Claire translated in a whisper. Dante's attention sharpened at Salvatore Bellomo's name. 6 months earlier, the Bellomo family had lost a waterfront contract to Moretti Logistics. Open retaliation would destroy both shipping operations. But a staged murder could collapse Dante's alliances without requiring Bellomo to fire a shot, the man above continued. If Moretti refuses the suite, take the kitchen, girl. Her car is already inside the warehouse. Dante's hand settled lightly against the center of Claire's back. He did not push or pull. The warmth warned her that he had moved closer while preserving her balance on the narrow step. They mean you, he said. They need me alive long enough to support their version. Claire listened again. The humiliated waitress leaves angry, drives to the warehouse, and helps arrange whatever they plan to find there. Then she lures you upstairs. Marco studied the service door. We take them now. If they hear armed men, they may destroy what they staged, Claire said, or harm whoever is inside the suite. Dante's first instinct was visible in the way he positioned his body between Claire and the door. Yet he asked, "What do you propose?" I pushed the cart back upstairs. They saw the wax mark. So they'll think their service signal still works. The elevator remains unlocked behind me. Your men wait one turn below. If anyone moves toward me. I release the cart and step backward into the car. Marco rejected it. You are not trained for this. I'm trained to approach rooms where strangers are waiting and keep my hands visible while I enter. That is the only reason they may open the door. You are also the person they intend to frame, Dante said, which makes me expected. Claire met his eyes. I keep the elevator. I choose when the exchange ends. Your guards do the rest. Dante considered the plan rather than issuing a reflexive refusal. The instant you step back, we move. You do not need permission to abort. He removed the master key from the cart and placed it in her palm. His fingers closed briefly around hers. Warm and firm. The contact lasted only long enough to make the agreement physical. Your exit remains yours, he said. The 6th floor service door opened beside the linen room. Claire rolled the cart into the hallway. A man in a stolen waiter's jacket appeared near the bridal suite. His eyes checked the white wax on the handle before they checked her face. Problem downstairs? He asked in English. Claire lowered her gaze, the way Harlan demanded, whenever important guests complained. The bride sent the bourbon back. The man relaxed. He knocked twice, paused, then once. A second conspirator opened the suite. Claire caught the scents of bourbon, furniture, polish, and something medicinal. The first man pulled the cart across the threshold. The suite had been arranged for a photograph. A hotel porter lay beside the bed, wearing a charcoal suit nearly identical to Dante's. His face turned away from the entrance. Dante's pocket square rested near his shoulder. Claire's missing employee badge lay beside his hand. On the dresser stood an open bourbon bottle and 2 glasses, one marked with white wax. The porter's chest rose shallowly. Claire recognized him. Mr. Alvarez worked the overnight desk and brought coffee to servers after long weddings. He was alive. But he could not protect himself. The false waiter reached for Claire's upper arm. She did not fight him. She released the cart, stepped backward into the elevator, and pressed the open door control. Dante came through the service door before the man's fingers touched her. Marco's guards restrained the second conspirator inside the suite. Dante drove the first against the wall and removed the knife hidden beneath his jacket, then handed him to Marco without turning the struggle into a spectacle. His attention returned to Claire. Did he touch you? No. Dante accepted her answer. He did not search her body for injuries or convert concern into another form of control. The hotel doctor confirmed that Mr. Alvarez had been sedated but remained stable. Marco summoned a private ambulance through the service entrance. Claire stayed outside the bedroom until the medical team cleared the space. Then she approached the planted badge without touching it. That wasn't taken from me tonight, she said. I lost it 3 weeks ago. Harlan charged $20 for the replacement. Marco photographed its position. Then the frame began before this dinner. Claire examined the staged scene as she would inspect a table after temporary staff prepared it. The bourbon bottle was open, but the seal had been cut unevenly. The glasses faced away from the chairs. One carried white wax beneath its base. Yet the mark faced the wall. This wax wasn't used as a visible signal, she said. At the ballroom, the crescent faced the men who needed to see it. On the cart, It faced the hallway. Here it is, hidden. She turned the glass with a clean napkin. The wax contained a shallow impression shaped like the edge of a capital letter. A candle beside the bottle burned ivory wax. Not white. The mark had been transferred from another sealed object. Marco leaned closer. A letter B. Bellomo. Dante said. Claire looked at him. Maybe. Or, someone wants you to say Bellomo before you ask why his private seal appeared in a hotel suite prepared under your name. That distinction stopped Dante from ordering retaliation. He had built power by responding faster than his enemies. Tonight, speed was the weapon being used against him. One of Marco's guards searched the room and recovered a brass seal beneath the dresser. Its face carried a capital B surrounded by laurel leaves. Bellomo's crest. The handle looked polished, but a single burgundy thread clung inside its hinge. Claire remembered Dante restraining Bianca at the engagement table. A seam had torn at the wrist of her gown. The loose threads were the same dark red. Bianca handled the seal. Marco said. It passed through her hands. Claire corrected. That is not the same as proving she brought it here. If you show her the thread now, she'll build an explanation around exactly what we know. Dante glanced toward the captured men. Neither had spoken since being restrained. Then we let her believe we found only the porter. Claire covered the seal with an empty glass. Watch who she tries to protect. A payment envelope inside the false waiter's jacket contained $5,000 and a photograph of Claire. Leaving the hotel 2 nights earlier, the picture showed her carrying a grocery bag toward her car. A date had been written across the back, followed by 3 words. No family escort. Dante read them. Who is in your family? My younger sister. Lily. She's 24. Where is she tonight? Working the overnight pharmacy shift on Mason Avenue. Dante reached for his phone. Claire caught his wrist. The movement surprised both of them, but she did not release him until he looked at her. Don't call the pharmacy. If they are watching Lily. A Moretti call confirms we found the photograph. Send someone who can enter as a customer. Look at the street and leave without approaching her. Dante turned to Marco. 2 plainclothes guards. No Moretti vehicles. No visible weapons. And no contact, unless Claire's sister is in danger. Marco issued the instruction. Dante looked down at Claire's hand around his wrist. She released him. Yet the warmth remained in her palm. He had spent years surrounded by people who obeyed his first reaction. Claire required him to control his power before she trusted its protection. You were right to stop me, he said. Being obeyed quickly isn't the same as being right. I'm beginning to understand that. Marco received the report from Mason Avenue. Lily was safe behind the pharmacy counter. A man had been sitting in a parked van across the street. He drove away before the plainclothes guards turned onto the block. He was warned. Claire said. Only a limited group knew protection had left the hotel. Marco. Gunch. The guards assigned to the suite. And whoever monitored Moretti's private security channel. Bianca remained confined in a hotel office with no visible phone. The imprisoned attackers had been searched. The warning came from inside Dante's organization. On their way back to the ballroom, Claire passed the office where Bianca was held. She heard Bianca arguing through the door. You cannot keep me here without Dante's permission. The guard outside answered. The order came from Dante. Bianca lowered her voice. Another voice replied from inside the wall. Claire stopped so suddenly, Dante nearly touched her back. She pointed toward a heating vent beside the office. The adjoining room belonged to hotel security. Bianca was speaking through the duct to someone on the other side. The man answered in Sicilian. The waitress saw the seal. Bianca said, "Move the ledger before Moretti reaches the docks. The ledger is already in her locker." The man replied. Claire translated beneath her breath. Marco identified the voice before she finished. Victor Hale, Dante's security coordinator of 9 years, had designed the ballroom protection plan and controlled the hotel's surveillance room. He knew every route Marco would use to contain an intruder. Marco moved toward the adjoining door. Claire stopped him. "Let Victor finish. If he hears your men enter, he destroys whatever he planted or warns the warehouse." Dante gave Marco a signal to wait. Bianca said, "Make Dante read the first page. He won't need the rest." And the girl Victor asked, "She leaves in her own car before dawn." After that, no one fins her. The connection ended. Marco's guards entered the security office seconds later. But Victor had already escaped through a staff corridor. His abandoned radio lay beside the vent. He had timed the exchange using the same building access he was paid to protect. Claire headed toward the employee locker room. "We need to see what he planted before he returns to move it." "You don't touch the locker," Dante said. "It's mine. That is why Victor chose it. If the evidence harms whoever handles it, Marco inspects it first." Claire considered the boundary. Dante was not claiming authority over her property. He was naming a specific danger. "I open it. Marco removes anything that doesn't belong." Agreed. The locker room had been emptied during the lockdown. Claire's locker stood at the far end. Numbered 42, the same number as her parking space. Its metal door already hung open. On the shelf sat a black ledger sealed with fresh white wax. Beneath it lay $30,000 in cash and a copy of the Moretti warehouse schedule. Claire stopped 3 feet away. "None of that belongs to me." Marco photographed the position before lifting the ledger into a clear evidence sleeve. The first page listed payments beside Claire's name. Every date matched a private dinner she had served. The final line read, "Hotel access and Moretti route 50,000. Signatures at the bottom resembled hers. Harlan made us sign the gratuity sheets after every private event. Claire said, "Someone copied them." The false evidence was persuasive because it contained true pieces, real work dates, a real signature, a stolen car, and the badge she had genuinely lost. Victor did not invent Claire's life. He rearranged it into betrayal. Dante stared at the organized page. His father had died after a trusted driver sold a route for cash. Since then, Dante believed written evidence more readily than instinct, and control more readily than uncertainty. "Until we verify this," he said. Claire remains under protection. 2 guards moved between her and the exit. Claire looked from them to Dante. "Protection, with permission to leave." He hesitated. The pause lasted only a moment. But Bianca had designed the first page for that exact moment. Claire removed the replacement name tag from her blouse and placed it on the planted money. "She needed 1 page to make you forget who saved your life tonight," she said. "And she understood you well enough to know it would work." Claire spent the next 43 minutes in the employee break room with a female guard outside the door. No one restrained her or took her phone. But the locked exit delivered the same conclusion as handcuffs. Dante believed her freedom mattered only while it cost him nothing. In the locker room, Dante studied the forged ledger while Marco searched for Victor. The first page offered everything Dante's oldest fear expected: dates, money, and Claire's familiar signature. His father had died after a trusted driver sold a private route. Since then, Dante treated documents as safer than testimony and confinement as safer than uncertainty. Victor and Bianca had not needed to make him foolish. They only needed to make him predictable. He turned the page again. One entry claimed Claire received $10,000 after a private dinner on April 18th. Dante remembered that date because Bianca cancelled the event after her father reported chest pain. No guests arrived, and no route was discussed. Check Claire's schedule, he told Marco. The hotel record showed Harlan sent her home before sunset. The first contradiction broke the ledger's timeline. The second appeared in the cash. Every bundle carried fresh Moretti bank straps. A real informant payment would have been stripped of anything connecting it to Dante. Victor wanted the money traced easily because the bundles had been prepared for discovery, not secrecy. The third contradiction lay in the white wax. The attackers used the crescent during live operations beneath the glass, across the cart handle, and beside the stage suite. Yet the ledger supposedly recorded months of hidden payments while its wax remained clean, unbroken, and soft enough to hold Marco's glove print through the evidence sleeve. Victor sealed it tonight, Dante said. Claire had stood in the ballroom beneath dozens of witnesses when the wax was applied. The proof did not merely fail to condemn her. It placed the forger inside the employee corridor during the attack. Unlock her door. Dante entered alone and left the door open behind him. Claire stood beside the table, wearing her coat, purse over one shoulder, her rideshare confirmation visible on the phone. You're free to go, he said. She walked toward the exit. Dante did not step into her path. I was wrong. Claire stopped at the threshold without turning. I allowed planted evidence to outweigh the woman who had already shown me how that evidence was built. He continued. I called confinement protection because that made my control sound honorable. It wasn't. I broke my word because fear made it inconvenient. Claire faced him. Why should your apology matter? After your fear made the decision, it shouldn't. What I do after it must matter. Then start. Your sister's location remains yours to control. No one follows either of you without permission. Every person who watched me restrict you will hear me. Admit I had no right. And if you leave now, my guards protect the route you choose without reporting it to me. He offered no explanation about his father and asked for no forgiveness. Claire believed his regret. Trust remained a different matter. She returned to the table and opened the hotel map. Bianca believes the ledger worked. Yes. Then let her continue believing it. Dante expected her to leave. Instead, she placed one finger on the private warehouse entrance. I will help until the workers are safe. Under new terms. I won't enter as your captive. I carry no weapon. My sister stays outside your organization. If I call an abort, no one debates me. Agreed. At the end, I explain my own evidence. You don't translate my work into language your men respect. You will have the floor. Claire chose Sofia Reyes as her driver, a female transport officer who had spotted the watcher outside Lily's pharmacy before the rest of the team. Sofia had joined Moretti Corporate Security 2 years earlier and had no connection to Victor's original unit. That distance mattered more than rank. Marco's team recovered Claire's sedan beneath a railway overpass. The driver escaped through a maintenance tunnel. But he left 6 stolen security jackets and a case of white candles inside the trunk. Claire proposed, replacing the compromised wax signal with blue ribbon. Real guards would receive the new marker through a restricted channel. Anyone still displaying white wax identified himself. Before they left, Dante returned the hotel master key Claire had used to preserve her exit upstairs. Keep it until this is over. Their fingers touched. Claire felt the old scar across his palm and the restraint in the way he released her first. "Do not mistake this for forgiveness," she said. "I won't." Sophia drove Claire's recovered sedan toward the waterfront, while Dante and Marco followed 2 blocks behind in an unmarked vehicle. Claire left half the white wax smear on the steering wheel, so the car still appeared to belong to the conspiracy's driver. She refused an earpiece that could expose the plan during a search. Instead, Sophia opened a hands-free call through the dashboard, and Claire kept control of the button that could end it. The warehouse rose beside the river beneath hard, white industrial lights. 5 loading bays faced the road. A private metal gate opened before the sedan reached it. Victor Hale stood inside wearing a blue ribbon on his lapel. Claire understood the failure immediately. Marco had changed the signal less than 20 minutes earlier. Victor's access to the private channel remained active, which meant every route and response Dante issued could reach him. The gate began descending behind the sedan. "Abort," Claire said. Sophia reversed. Before the barrier struck the pavement, a delivery truck, shot from behind, stacked containers and blocked the exit. 2 warehouse vehicles boxed them from the front. Sophia turned sharply, avoiding the truck's bumper. But there was no open lane. Victor approached the passenger side without drawing a weapon. He held up Harlan's stolen order pad. Across the top sheet appeared Claire's handwriting. "Dante Moretti killed the porter. I can prove it. Your boss made one mistake," Victor said through the glass. He believed tonight was about killing him. It was always about making his workers choose you over him. Claire remained inside the locked car and studied the men driving the warehouse vehicles. They wore Moretti logistics jackets, but their uncertainty was obvious. Victor had recruited authority, not loyalty. Most were ordinary employees following the senior officer responsible for their safety. His blue ribbon looked different from theirs. Marco's rushed instruction produced strips tied around wrists, belt loops, and collars. Victor's ribbon had been folded into a perfect flat loop and secured by a silver pin. It had been prepared before Marco changed the signal. Claire lowered the window 2 inches. "If Dante sent you to collect me, what did he promise me at the hotel?" Victor answered without hesitation. "Protection." Wrong. Dante promised control of her exit. Victor possessed operational intelligence, but not the private terms that rebuilt their alliance. Claire pressed the dashboard button. "Don't you?" Victor is the inside contact. He can hear orders, but not agreements made off-channel. Dante's voice filled the sedan. "We heard him." Victor stepped back. He raised the forged note toward the workers. "This woman used her own car to enter our private gate. She planted evidence against the Moretti family and accused Dante of killing an innocent porter." Claire addressed the nearest driver. Victor took that pad from Harlan. "Read the page beneath his message." The driver looked between them, rub a pencil across it. Claire continued. "The pressure marks will show what Victor wrote before he forged my note." Victor tore the pad in half. The workers saw him destroy the test. One driver moved his vehicle. The second followed, clearing a narrow exit behind Sophia. Claire had not defeated Victor by force. She gave ordinary people a visible choice and allowed his response to expose him. Dante's convoy entered through the opening. Marco's team surrounded Victor before he could reach inside his coat. Dante remained near his vehicle rather than taking Claire's place in front of the workers. Claire stepped out only after Sophia confirmed the lane remained clear. She pointed toward Victor's lapel. His blue marker existed before Marco issued the change. "Check the silver pin. Agent Rivera." A federal liaison summoned after the hotel attack removed the ribbon while wearing gloves. White wax coated the underside of its pin, The same proof connected Victor to the false waiters, the elevator cart, the staged body, and Claire's forged ledger. Victor looked toward Dante. You trust a waitress over the man who guarded you for 9 years. Dante's answer carried no triumph. I trust the evidence she gave you every chance to disprove. Marco secured Victor's hands. Claire then examined 5 loaded trucks waiting beneath the warehouse lights. 4 sat low on their suspensions. The 5th stood higher. Although its papers claimed it carried the same wine shipment, a waitress understood weight. 6 full glasses changed how a tray pressed against the palm. A truck filled with wine should not ride like a truck filled with air. Claire asked Marco to open the 5th vehicle. Wooden cases filled the rear. White wax marked the nearest lid. Inside, empty bottles had been packed around, forged contracts, photographs, and financial records bearing Moretti Company seals. The conspirators never planned to destroy the warehouse. They planned to let federal investigators discover it. Sirens sounded beyond the river gate. Marco looked at the false records. We have minutes to move this. Touch nothing, Claire said. She lifted the vehicle's service card from its clip. It carried no loader, supervisor, or departure signatures, only a white wax crescent. Make the investigators record that the truck has no chain of custody. If you move the evidence now, you complete Victor's story for him. Dante ordered every Moretti employee away from the vehicle. Federal agents entered with signed warrants and placed him under temporary detention while the truck was photographed, before Agent Rivera separated him from Claire. Dante spoke loudly enough for every worker to hear. Claire Bennett discovered this truck. Every official record will show that. Give her the floor before you give me one. Victor leaned toward Claire as agents led him away. You found the empty bottles, he said. You never asked where the wine went. The answer reached the warehouse 12 minutes later. Marco received a call from the doctor treating Mr. Alvarez. The porter had awakened long enough to remember delivering 6 cases of private label Moretti wine to the engagement ballroom. A woman wearing a burgundy gown signed the receipt and instructed him to leave the cases with her personal sommelier. Bianca had not sent the real wine to the warehouse. She had served it to Dante's most important allies. Claire remembered every table because she had carried glasses among them for hours. Gold-bordered labels went to shipping leaders. Silver-bordered labels went to restaurant partners. Black-bordered labels went to union representatives. At the time, the colors looked decorative. Now she recognized a service system that separated Dante's power into categories. Tell the hotel no one drinks anything else, she said. Marco called the ballroom. A guard Claire did not recognize answered. The guests were cleared 10 minutes ago. On whose order? Mr. Moretti's. Dante had issued no such command. Victor had used the private security channel to send the allies into hallways, elevators, and private cars where each could be contacted alone. The wine wasn't poison, Claire said. If all the leaders became sick together, Bianca exposed herself. She needed them awake, frightened, and able to act. Agent Rivera listened while technicians photographed the truck. What could be in a sealed bottle besides wine? Something under the label. Claire recalled expensive dinners where guests warmed labels with napkins so they could save them. Bring 1 unopened bottle from the truck cab and heat the glass carefully. Rivera allowed a technician to perform the test. The adhesive loosened. Beneath the gold-bordered label lay a thin strip of paper. Dante sold the North Docks. Your family is next. Other colors concealed different messages. One claimed Dante planned to dissolve the restaurant alliance. Another accused him of reporting union accounts to federal authorities. Each lie targeted the fear of the person assigned to receive it. Bianca used the engagement toast to distribute private betrayals. Victor's false evacuation order then separated the recipients before they could compare messages. Rivera ordered agents to contact every guest. Claire stopped her from using the hotel security list. Victor controlled that system. Use the duplicate seating sheet from the service station. It shows who actually sat at each table. The federal supervisor looked at Claire differently then, not as Dante's protected witness, but as the only person who understood how the conspiracy traveled through ordinary work. Dante stood beside a federal vehicle with his hands visible. He did not interfere when Rivera questioned Claire, or attempt to make her answer sound more important by repeating it. His restraint could not repair what he did at the hotel. But it proved he had listened. The warehouse lights changed from white to red, emergency illumination. Metal gates descended over the exits. A monitor above the dispatch office came alive. Bianca appeared inside the hotel ballroom, still wearing her burgundy gown and Dante's engagement ring. Behind her stood family leaders who had returned after discovering the hidden messages. Their faces showed anger and suspicion, but none knew that the others had received different accusations. "Good evening." "Dante," Bianca said through the speaker system. She placed Claire's forged ledger on the central table. Edited security footage appeared beside her Claire's badge near the porter, her car entering the private warehouse gate, and guards blocking her exit from the break room. Each image existed. None carried the meaning Bianca assigned to it. "Claire Bennett was paid to expose our weaknesses," Bianca announced. "Dante discovered her betrayal and confined her. Then he released her because she promised to blame me." The footage showed Dante entering the locked room and Claire later traveling to the warehouse. His real mistake made Bianca's lie credible. One council leader asked Dante whether he had restricted Claire's freedom. He could have denied the language, called it temporary protection, or allowed his attorney to answer. "Yes," Dante said. "I was wrong." Bianca used the admission immediately. He endangered every Moretti business for a waitress he met tonight. He is no longer capable of leading this alliance. An emergency council resolution waited on the ballroom table. If a majority signed before 1 o'clock, Dante would lose control of the Moretti companies until the federal investigation ended. The warehouse clock read 12:43. 17 minutes remained. Victor watched Claire from federal custody. Save Dante's name, and the council learns he imprisoned an innocent woman. Save your own, and you prove he knew you were guilty. Claire refused the choice because Victor designed both answers to benefit him. The evidence did not require Dante to be innocent of harming her. It required the conspiracy to be separated from his mistake. She asked Rivera to connect the warehouse emergency line to the ballroom. If those leaders act on different messages before comparing them, you'll have retaliation across the city before sunrise. Rivera hesitated to give a civilian access during an active investigation. Dante spoke from beside the vehicle. "Charge me now if necessary. But let Claire talk before that council signs away 6 companies using evidence your own agents have not authenticated." Rivera opened the channel. Claire's voice entered the ballroom as the first council member signed. "Before anyone else touches that resolution, remove the labels from your bottles. Compare what each of you was told." Bianca lifted a gold-bordered bottle and smashed it against the marble floor. "Burn every service record." On the monitor behind her, flames rose inside the hotel kitchen. Claire did not panic. Bianca believed banquet instructions existed in one place because she had never performed the labor required to deliver them. Every large event created 3 records: a kitchen copy, a service station copy, and an accounting copy used for inventory and gratuities. Evacuate the kitchen through the loading corridor. Claire told the ballroom guard. Do not use the guest elevators. Then bring every waiter's order pad to the council table. Bianca moved toward the monitor controls, but 2 guards blocked her. 3 council members stopped them from detaining her until the evidence became clear. Force could divide the alliance permanently. Claire needed the workers to expose the system in front of everyone. Servers entered carrying duplicate bottle cards and carbon order sheets tucked inside their aprons. A young waitress laid 3 cards beneath the ballroom camera. Gold bottles went to shipping. Silver went to restaurants. Black went to the union table. The assignments matched the hidden accusations exactly. Bianca alone controlled final seating. Claire said. Harlan could change stuff. Victor could change security. Neither could decide which leader received which message. Bianca held up the ledger, and Claire alone handled the marked glass. Entered the staged suite, and discovered the truck. Perhaps the wax belongs to her. It was the strongest defense available. Claire answered without exaggeration. I touched the ballroom glass with a napkin. I never touched Victor's pin. Agent Rivera removed it. Federal cameras recorded the white wax on the truck before I entered it. And I was locked in the break room when Victor sealed the ledger. Dante's wrongful confinement became a contradiction that cleared her. Claire asked Marco to place the marked glass, Victor's silver pin, and the ledger beneath separate cameras. The same pure white wax appeared on all 3. The Ivory Hotel candles did not match it. The conspirators had carried their own supply. Victor attempted to speak over the channel. A repeated mark proves a setup, not who directed it. Correct, Claire said. That is why we follow who controlled the tables. She explained the chain in simple steps. The false waiters used the wax to recognize one another. The staged cart carried it so staff would move it without question. The ledger carried it because Victor wanted Dante to associate Claire with the attackers. The empty cases carried it because selected men needed to identify the false evidence shipment. Every use depended on invisible workers carrying an object without being asked what it meant. One council member peeled back his gold label and found the lie about the North Docks. Another removed a silver label and discovered a different accusation. Suspicion shifted away from Dante and toward the woman who arranged their seats. Bianca reached for her jeweled purse. A female guard secured it first. Inside lay a second phone and a flattened stick of white sealing wax. The first council member tore his signature from the resolution. For one moment, Bianca's defeat seemed complete. Then the ballroom monitor split into 4 security feeds. Trucks moved simultaneously toward Moretti restaurant warehouses, union offices, and the North Docks. Each carried a gold, silver, or black label across its windshield. Victor had prepared a contingency. If the council failed to remove Dante, forged evidence would be delivered to every branch of his alliance before federal agents could stop it. Rivera checked the dispatch clock. All 4 vehicles left before we entered the warehouse. We don't have their routes. Bianca recovered her composure. You proved I sent messages. You did not prove those trucks belong to me. Sign the resolution, or spend the morning explaining why Dante's contraband reached your businesses. The council members looked again toward the document. The clock changed to 12:52. 8 minutes remained. Claire studied the colored windshield labels. Gold, silver, and black. Bianca believed the colors divided the alliance. But the hotel's banquet records contained one more detail Bianca had overlooked: Every colored wine shipment had been delivered by the same service driver, and his signed route remained on the accounting copy outside the burning kitchen. Claire turned to Agent Rivera. "Get me the gratuity packet from the hotel accounting office." The drivers were tipped in cash. "The route receipts will be inside." Rivera sent the order. But the ballroom feed showed Bianca lifting a fresh pen. 5 minutes. Bianca said. Then, the council chooses. The accounting clerk reached the ballroom with the gratuity packet less than 2 minutes later. Smoke marked one sleeve, but the sealed envelope remained intact. Bianca ordered the guards to take it. They refused. Dante had publicly removed her authority, and the council had not granted her another. Claire asked the clerk to open the packet beneath the camera. Inside were cash distribution sheets, delivery receipts, and one route card signed by Paul Mercer, the temporary driver who brought all 6 wine cases to the hotel. The card listed a return route through 3 Moretti businesses before the truck reached the river road. "The 4 vehicles are not using 4 independent routes," Claire said. "They are repeating one banquet delivery loop and splitting at the final stop. Stop the first truck, and its dispatch sheet identifies the rest." Rivera sent federal units toward the restaurant warehouse named on the receipt. Sophia used the delivery times to estimate which vehicle would arrive first. Within 90 seconds, agents intercepted the gold-labeled truck without opening its cargo. Its dashboard carried a dispatch sheet listing the silver, black, and unmarked vehicles. Rivera transmitted the remaining routes to local federal teams. Bianca looked toward the council clock. 2 minutes remained. Those trucks still belong to Moretti companies. Stopping them changes nothing. The route card changes everything. Claire answered. Paul Mercer signed for the wine before my shift began. Victor approved his temporary access. Bianca assigned the bottles. I never met the driver, controlled the tables, or entered the accounting office. Your own chain excludes me. Agent Rivera confirmed that Mercer's hiring file had been approved through Victor's credentials. The truck conspiracy joined the white wax chain without introducing a second mystery. Victor controlled access. Bianca controlled recipients. Harlan controlled the disposable staff and vehicles. Each used Claire's invisibility as cover. The council leader holding Bianca's pen set it down. Claire then addressed the ballroom workers. Bring the service copies forward. Waiters, porters, and accounting staff placed their records across the same table where Bianca's resolution waited. The people treated as furniture all evening now formed the only complete witness chain. Bianca tried once more to reduce Claire to her body. You were carrying plates yesterday. You think a few receipts make you equal to people who built this alliance? Claire met her gaze through the camera. No, your plan made that mistake. It depended on people carrying plates, opening gates, moving linens, and signing deliveries without ever being asked what they saw. She placed the marked glass beneath the warehouse camera. The white wax identified your false waiters. Rivera placed Victor's coated pin beside it. It followed your inside contact. Marco displayed the fresh ledger seal. It framed me after Dante locked my exit. Finally, the federal technician showed the marked wine case, and it carried your false evidence to the warehouse. Claire did not need Bianca to confess. She only needed the council to see the same simple mark evolve from suspicion to connection to conviction. Dante stepped toward the emergency camera. Claire is right about something else. Bianca's lie worked because I made part of it true. I restricted an innocent woman's freedom after promising she controlled her exit. He removed the Moretti signet ring and placed it on the hood of the federal vehicle. Do not preserve my authority because of my name. Here, Claire. Then decide whether I corrected my failure at a cost, or hid it to keep this ring. The gesture removed Bianca's claim that Claire protected Dante only to gain his favor. He surrendered the symbol she wanted before asking the council to judge her. The first council member tore his signature from the emergency resolution. Others pushed the document away. The vote failed before the deadline. Rivera received confirmation that all 4 trucks had been stopped. None of the destination businesses touched their cargo. The false records would remain under federal chain of custody and could be compared with the unsigned warehouse service card Claire discovered. Hotel guards detained Bianca. Her purse contained the second phone, white sealing wax, and photographs of every council table. Victor and Harlan entered federal custody for conspiracy, obstruction, evidence tampering, and threats against Claire and Lily. Dante ordered all their credentials frozen, but he made no private threat. Their punishment would be documented before the people they tried to manipulate. Bianca looked at Claire with open hatred. You were nothing until Dante noticed you. Claire's voice remained calm. Dante is alive because I noticed you first. Rivera ended Bianca's access to the channel. Dante's ring remained on the vehicle hood while the council held a second vote. He retained operational authority under independent review. He accepted the condition without negotiation. Then he addressed the ballroom. Claire Bennett saved every person at this dinner, exposed the threat my guards missed, protected the warehouse workers, and proved the truth after I failed her. She owes the Moretti family nothing. We owe her restitution and the freedom to decide whether she ever sees us again. He stepped away from the camera. Claire ended the emergency call herself. 3 weeks later, Claire returned to the hotel, wearing a deep teal dress purchased with her own money. It followed her full figure without hiding it. Lily's silver pendant rested at her throat. Claire entered through the main doors, not the employee alley, and no manager asked her to lower her eyes. She had not returned as a waitress. After federal agents cleared her name, the hotel offered a settlement for harassment, unpaid labor, the stolen car, and the planted evidence. Claire hired her own attorney, rejected the first offer, and demanded back pay for every server whose shifts Bianca and Harlan had cut. The final agreement created written overtime protection and an independent complaint system. Claire used part of her settlement to purchase a small event service company with 2 former co-workers. They named it Second Table, as a reminder that people standing behind the guests often saw the truth first. Dante did not finance it. He offered once. Claire refused. He introduced no secret investor, favorable loan, or Moretti contract. Her freedom could not depend upon his generosity. The hotel ballroom looked different tonight. Porters sat beside executives. Kitchen workers received the same meal as council leaders. Mr. Alvarez attended with his wife, recovered from the sedative, but still using a cane. Sophia directed the rebuilt security team, while Marco reported through an independent oversight board that included warehouse employees. Dante waited near the stage in a charcoal suit. His signet ring remained absent. The review had removed Victor's loyalists, divided security authority among 3 departments, and created a protected reporting line for service staff. Dante also surrendered the disputed North Dock contract that had made Bellomo an easy scapegoat. None of those acts purchased forgiveness. They proved his apology survived after the danger ended. When Claire entered, Dante did not approach until she nodded. You came, he said. You invited every worker Bianca used. They deserve to witness the correction. What do you expect from me? Nothing. It was the first answer she trusted without qualification. Dante had requested the meeting through her attorney instead of appearing at her home or business. He sent no jewelry and made no romantic claim before an audience. When he offered his hand, Claire chose to take it. They crossed the ballroom together. His palm rested lightly against hers. The restrained contact awakened an attraction Claire had kept behind more urgent concerns, his warmth. The careful strength of his fingers, and the fact that he released her whenever she changed direction. On stage, Dante addressed the employees first. 3 weeks ago, this hotel rewarded cruelty because wealthy guests were considered more valuable than the people serving them. I benefited from that system. I noticed perfect tables and ignored the exhaustion required to create them. He turned toward Claire but did not pull her forward. I also broke my word to Claire Bennett. I called confinement protection. She taught me that safety without choice is another form of control. Dante announced overtime repayment, worker representation, and the independent complaint process. Then he left the microphone. Claire decides whether she wishes to speak. She joined him by choice. Bianca's conspiracy worked because no one listened to waiters, porters, clerks, drivers, or cleaners. It failed when the people she ignored began listening to one another. Claire invited the service employees and warehouse loaders to stand. Applause began at the back tables and traveled forward. The public recognition belonged to all of them, not merely to the powerful man who finally noticed. After dinner, Dante found Claire on the terrace overlooking the river. She held the hotel master key he had allowed her to keep. "I came to return this," she said. He closed her fingers around it without taking possession. "Keep it, as a reminder, as proof that every door between us opens from your side, too." Claire studied him. "You still speak like a man accustomed to getting what he wants." "I am. And what do you want?" "You. But not as a reward for repairing damage I caused." He remained an arm's length away. "I want dinner because you choose the place. Arguments I cannot end with an order. A chance to earn trust without asking you to forget why I lost it." Claire honored both her caution and the warmth moving through her. "No engagement promise. No security detail following me. No Moretti money. Inside second table." "Agreed. If your world threatens Lily or my partners, I walk away. I will make that exit safe, even if it takes you away from me." That answer mattered most. Dante did not offer a luxurious cage. He recognized the door and promised never to stand in front of it. Claire stepped closer. "One dinner." His hand rose toward her cheek and stopped. She closed the remaining distance herself. Their first kiss was slow and chosen. Dante's palm settled at her waist without pulling, while Claire rested one hand against his chest. Attraction did not erase his failure or complete their healing. It marked the first decision they made as equals. 6 months later, Second Table managed the reopening gala at the Moretti Waterfront Hotel. Claire entered through the front doors as co-owner, wearing midnight blue and carrying no tray. Lily managed company accounts while completing pharmacy school. Sophia led a rebuilt security team, and service employees held permanent seats on the Hotel Advisory Council. A council member referred to Claire as Dante Moretti's girlfriend. Dante corrected him. "Claire Bennett saved this alliance and built her own company after we nearly destroyed her life. Our relationship is the least important reason you will respect her." Claire heard him across the ballroom. She approached and placed the hotel master key in his palm. "I don't need an exit key anymore." she said. Dante searched her face. "Are you certain? I know where every door is." When he offered his hand, Claire did not stand behind him or beside his throne. She drew him forward to stand beside hers.